Hey, now for the news. Glad you can join us, and welcome to the P.G.M show.
Bond, James Bond. Yes, hello, I'm Peter Gordon McKinnon. This is the P.G.M show. Welcome one and all to this first Bond movie in this huge franchise that's been going on for more than probably 2 decades now. It started in 1962 for the film anyways, but before then it started long ago with a man called Fleming, Ian Fleming. James Bond is synonymous with really the whole world round, with basically everyone in different continents of this round blue and green marble, that James Bond is synonymous with everyone, regardless of age, gender, race, creed. Whoever knows of 007 James Bond, the actors, storylines, even the famous Ian Fleming. Yes, Ian Fleming, who wrote the books that eventually became the films. Now, I will get to the first book he wrote, but in regards to the film on the celluloid, boy, it's hard to say, even for me, was the 6th novel to be made into a movie, and that's what you see now, Dr.No, 007. Now, Ian Fleming had this way about him. He wanted to be a spy, and in fact, he was working as counterintelligence or intelligence in the Navy. However, he is more famous as the writer of James Bond, and everyone knows, and I'm going to say it here, when he wrote the books he could not find a name for this character, and then until he looked upon another book with the author's name of James Bond. He pinched that, and this man, James Bond, the other author, was an ornithologist. It's really hard to say, and I have a stutter, so please forgive me. Casting wise, when they got going, they were looking at the producers, Harry Saltzman and Albert R. Broccoli, looked at Cary Grant first. Cary Grant, and if I've got this wrong, please go ahead and correct me in the comments. I have no qualms, but Cary Grant did live in London, so he had a minute English accent. Thus, Cary Grant was the spitting image that Ian Fleming wanted. Suave, tall, debonair man looking as to this Cary Grant actor. But Cary Grant did not want to do a franchise. He turned it down. He could do only one. He agreed upon only one, but when they said you had to do a few more, he said no, so he turned it down. Another actor they saw and probably nearly cast or considering, as they do, was James Mason. And lo and behold, they were looking at Riley is a Spies actor, and you may know him as Dr. Grant in this Jurassic Park film franchise as none other than New Zealander Kiwi's own Sam Neill. But alas, Sam Neill couldn't get out of Riley Ace of Spies, so they turned to a model, a somewhat stuntman. I think he did a little bit of theatre work, and he was a milkman in Scotland. They turned, yes, to Sean Connery. Now that I've probably talked myself into what I know out of the brain capacity that I have with Bond and Dr.No, it is time to look at some production and some of the plot and Dr.No, as we all know and love, to this film, the first of its kind on celluloid, and changed the game for spy films in the 1960s. Dr.No is a 1962 spy film written by Terence Young. It is the first film in the James Bond series starring Sean Connery, Ursula Andress, Joseph Wiseman as Dr.No, and Jack Lord as Felix Leiter. It was adapted by Richard Meyerbaum, Joanna Harwood, and Berkeley Mather. Sorry, probably butchered that. From the 1958 novel of the same name by Ian Fleming. The film was produced by Harry Saltzman and Albert Broccoli, a partnership that continued until 1975. It was followed by From Russia with Love, that is next, in the 1963. In the film, James Bond is sent to Jamaica to investigate the disappearance of a British agent. The trail leads him to the underground base of Dr. Julius No, who is plotting to disrupt an early American space launch from Cape Canaveral with a radio beam weapon. Although it was the first Bond of the Bond books to be made into a film, Dr.No was the sixth of Fleming's series, beginning with Casino Royale, which is coming up in a few weeks' time. Well, in a few weeks' time, ladies and gentlemen and Jeremys. The film makes a few references to threads from earlier books and later books in the series as well, such as the criminal organization Spectre, which was not introduced until the 1961 novel Thunderball. Produced on a low budget, Dr.No was a financial success, while the film received a mixed critical reaction upon release. It has gained a reputation over time as one of the series' best installments. Dr.No also launched a genre of secret agent films that flourished in the 1960s. The film spawned a comic book adaptation and soundtrack album as part of its promotion and marketing. I must, however, go back to this little tidbit. Ian Fleming first wrote Dr.No as a television outline for film producer Henry Morgenthau III. I probably butchered that one, so I apologize. To promote the Jamaican tourism industry. After that project fell through, Fleming began meeting with Canadian film producer Harry Saltzman about making a screen adaptation. Although Fleming was not a fan, let's get that correct as I stuff up my words yet again. Kitchen sink realist genre Saltzman was known for producing after seeing Saturday Night and Sunday Morning. Fleming sold him the rights to the James Bond novels, except Casino Royale and Thunderball, for $50,000. After Saltzman gained the rights for the novel, he initially had trouble financing the project. Screenwriter Wolf Mankiewicz introduced Saltzman to Albert R. Cubby Broccoli, who wanted the rights to the novels and attempted to buy them from Saltzman. Saltzman did not want to sell the rights to Broccoli, and instead they formed a partnership to make the films. A number of Hollywood film studios did not want to fund the films, funding them too British or too blatantly sexual. Eventually sexualized, you could say. Eventually the two received authorization from United Artists to produce Dr.No to be released in 1962. Saltzman and Broccoli created two companies, Danjag, or whatever it is, which was to hold the rights to the films, and Eon Productions, which was to produce them. The partnership between Broccoli and Saltzman lasted until 1975, when tensions during the filming of The Man with the Golden Gun led to an acrimonious split, and Saltzman sold his shares of the JAG to United Artists.
Alright, I probably read a little bit too much on Dr.No. That's the production, and that's how it went down. However, we will be getting into The Man with the Golden Gun in the series along and down the road, and another series on Fridays. Always on Fridays! Anyway, continuing on, they went through casting and they went through a lot of names. Be it, they even asked and thought of and looked at a young Roger Moore, but they thought Roger Moore was too pretty and far too young. So, and Roger Moore said, really, and I paraphrase this, that they didn't look and they didn't ask Roger Moore to be Bond. However, Roger Moore had another television program that it debuted as the Saint in 1962. Yes, again, right when Dr.No was out in theatres. For the Bond girl, Honey Rider, they were looking at Julie Christie, Martine Beswick, Gabriella Lisudi. Sorry, I butchered that one. I apologize for any Bond fans out there. I'm terrible with names. Rejected as too young. Just 2 weeks before filming began, Ursula Andress was chosen to play Honey after the producers saw a picture of her taken by Andress' then husband John Derek. Kirk Douglas persuaded Andress to take the part at a party hosted by Derek. Well, there you go. For the villain, for the Bond antagonist, Dr.No, Ian Fleming wanted his friend Noel Coward, and Coward answered the invitation with no. Fleming considered that his step cousin Christopher Lee would be good for the role of Dr. No, although by the time Fleming told the producers, they had already chosen Joseph Wiseman for the part of Dr. No. The role as the first Felix Leiter was given to Jack Lord. This is Bond and Leiter's first time meeting each other on film, and Leiter does not appear in the novel. Leiter returns to many of Bond's future adventures, and in 2006 reboot of the film series Casino Royale, Leiter and Bond are seen meeting one another again for the first time. This was Lord's only appearance as he asked for more money and a better billing to return as lighter in Goldfinger, and was subsequently replaced. As Sean Connery said, I never got introduced to Fleming until I was well into the movie, but I knew he was not that happy with me as a choice. He called me or told somebody that I was an overdeveloped stuntman, Sean Connery quoted. Just to finish up with the casting, the cast also included a number of actors who were to become stalwarts of the future films, including Bernard Lee, who played Bond's superior M for another 10 films, and Lois Maxwell, who played M's secretary Moneypenny in 14 installments of the series. Also, with Q, it is, let's see here, one role which was not given to a future regular was that of Major Boothroyd, the head of Q Branch, which was given to Peter Burton. Burton was unavailable for the subsequent film From Russia with Love, and the role was taken by Desmond Llewellyn. Desmond Llewellyn played the titular role as Q up until Die Another Day with Pierce Brosnan, until his untimely death, where he crashed his car. Well, I won't bore you too much with the locations, but just give you the insight of where they filmed, mostly, and that was Jamaica. Dr.No is set in London, in Pinewood Studios, now the 007 Studios, Jamaica, and Crab Key, a fictional island off Jamaica. Filming began on location at Palisades Airport in Kingston, Jamaica on the 16th January 6, 1962. The primary series there were the exterior shots of Crab Key and Kingston, where an uncredited Sid Kane acted as art director and also designed the Dragon tank. Shooting took place a few yards from Fleming's Golden Eye estate, and the author regularly visited the filming with friends. Location filming was largely in Orcasabesa, probably pronounced that wrong, with additional scenes on the Palisadeos, probably fracked that up, Strip, and Port Royal in St. Andrew. On 21st February, production left Jamaica with footage still unfilmed due to the change of weather. 5 days later, filming began at Pinewood Studios, Buckinghamshire, England, with sets designed by Ken Adam, which included Dr.No's base, the ventilation duct, and the interior of the British Secret Service headquarters. The studio was used on the majority of later Bond films. And very lastly, I will go through the little list here of director, screenplay, and based on. Okay. Directed by Terence Young, screenplay by Richard Mayerbaum, Joanna Howard, and Berkeley Mather, I think it is, probably stuck that up. Based on Dr.No by Ian Fleming, 6th in a series of books, produced by Harry Saltzman and Albert R. Broccoli, that's Tubby as well, if you prefer, starring Sean Connery, Ursula Andress, Joseph Wiseman, Jack Lord, Anthony Dawson, Zena Marshall, John Kitzmiller, Eunice Gayson, Bernard Lee, and Lois Maxwell. Okay. Cinematography was Ted Moore, edited by Peter R. Hunt.
Production company Eon Productions. Distributed by United Artists. Release date the 5th of October 1962, United Kingdom. 8th of May 1963, United States. Box office, or the budget, first up, would be $1.1 million for Dr.No, and the box office take $59.5 million. Despite some of the backlash for its seemingly big successfulness in a 1963 release date, well, it was a success, and it still is. And this hugely ongoing, decade-long 60th anniversary Bond series, starting with the 6th in the book series Dr.No. 007, it was just right for the times. It changed the history and dynamic and economy of spy films, and still changing it today. That's my opinion. I love Bond, James Bond. I love the films. I loved the iteration that Sean Connery portrayed, because really, when it comes down to it, I heard a story, this may be true or not true, but my opinion, that Ian Fleming got used to Sean Connery playing the titular role, so he changed the history of his parents to be Scottish born. Well, his father Scottish born anyway. And you see that in Skyfall. This black-suited, grey-suited, tuxedo-wearing, bow-tie, gin-swilling, womanizing, loving women, man, dapper and gambling man who wins anything and everything, and gun-toting with his Walther PPK because he got swapped out by M because he got injured because the Beretta didn't work, to the fast cars and the probably even faster women that he took down Dr.No with relative ease. Well, some relatively easiness. Yes, the James Bond 007, License to Kill or Be Killed. And when he took down Dr.No, he goes on other adventures from the books of Ian Fleming. Well, that's me. This has been Peter G. McKinnon for the P.G.M. show. My review, my take on one wonderful 1963 adaptation of Ian Fleming's Dr.No, the 6th, and I keep on repeating that, in the book series itself. I really want to thank everybody, each and every one of you, for actually giving me so many likes and views, not likes, let's say views, on this huge endeavor I want to take to actually review or talk about my take on the Bond series and franchise throughout the decades. I do appreciate you all. I really hope I live up to the review. It is now 25 minutes long, so I hope you can sit through that. There's majorly good facts in it, and if I missed out anything, I do apologize. But what do I got to apologize for? Probably nothing, because this is my take and my review. I enjoy this franchise. I always have been a Bond fan, and I will watch these Bond films over and over again just for the enjoyment, just for the escape, just because every man wants to be Bond at some point in their life. Even when you're old man, you still want to be Bond and get the girls and drink that martini and tote that Walther PPK and even drive the fast cars and work the awesome gadgets. And I've always wanted to do and act out the gun barrel. I've always thought that was so cool to have each movie start or finish with the James Bond character come in and shoot someone and blood goes down the gun barrel. The unforgettable music of Monty Norman's theme, James Bond theme, 007 theme, Call It What You Will, or John Barry's orchestral score for many of the Bond films across the years. I cannot forget the MGM logo with the roar of the lion. Yes, it was a United Artists in Eon production, but really that's unforgettable as well, with the MGM logo and the lion roaring before we watch a Bond film. This is what excites me with the Bond franchise. Having just this essence of a man, this, probably you could say, misogynist of its time. Bond, this alcoholic of its time, when he's shaken, not stirred, swilling gin. This license to kill and be killed, he kills more bad guys than he gets shot. Let's face it, but it's just the excitement of the ride, you could say. This man called Bond, James Bond, a license to kill or to be killed, a man who swills his gin, shaken not stirred, and totes a Walther PPK, a lover of women, and a man who takes down madmen who want to take over the world. Then I give you Bond, James Bond. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Be safe out there in that wide world of ours, that blue marble. Until next time, yes, next Friday is From Russia with Love. I am again thankful to each and every one of you for viewing my trailer for this promo. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And I'll say this. Goodbye, Mr. McKinnon.
Bond. James